And the latest from Addis Ababa is that South Africa's Wamkele Mene has been elected as the Secretary of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This after Nigeria had wanted its candidate in the position despite the agreed principle that South Africa would lead the new project. And for the next 2 years, President Cyril Ramaphosa heads the African peer review mechanism, the self-assessment and monitoring tool of the continent. Amongst its goals is political stability, accelerated economic growth and regional and continental integration. Ramaphosa assumes the chair at a critical time following the recent expansion of its mandate to include monitoring of the implementation of Agenda 2063 and the United Nations Agenda 2030 on sustainable development goals. For more on this critical portfolio, we are now joined by Professor Eddy Maloka, who is the mechanism's CEO. He joins us from Addis Ababa. Good evening and welcome, Professor, to The Full View. What does this moment mean for South Africa as it takes on as the chairman of this peer review mechanism?
No, good evening. Firstly, I think it's a privilege for South Africa, of course, to contribute to continental efforts and continue the tradition of working on the African continent in the African Union and SADC. But it's also a challenge because we had president of for the few years I've been there, I worked with Kenya, and president of Kenya, as you know, that he led the revitalization of the APRM. We have just finished with the chairship of the president of Chad, and they threw everything behind the APRM, integrating the APRM into the African Union. So the challenge then for South Africa is to maintain the momentum and also leave a very strong legacy and put its imprint on the work of the APRM.
Mm-hmm. We also heard from the president as he took over as chairperson of the African Union, touching on the African peer review mechanism and saying that there are 40 member states that have signed. What does this mean? Why is it that since 2003, since the foundation or the forming of the African peer review mechanism, we still don't have full cooperation from all member states of the African Union?
No, it's not because of cooperation. It's the manner that countries join the APRM. It's voluntary, yeah. But it's voluntary, but it also comes with obligations, because the reason why we continue to insist on voluntary, so that once you join, you know that it comes with additional obligations. Now we have to deploy teams to review you, to write reports on your country. You will be reviewed by other colleagues. So it's an additional responsibility. So we prefer that countries do this consciously and knowing very well that joining the APRM, it comes with some responsibilities, and we encourage countries to take those responsibilities seriously.
And it remaining a voluntary organization or mechanism to review and look at the work that's being done by the various governments, is that the right path to follow, considering that you have the president in a statement that he issued yesterday indicating that by the year 2023, he hopes that you'll have full cessation of all members?
No, I'm quite confident. 14 countries, I'm quite confident. Since we started, of course, since I joined the APRM, there's been an accession every year. This year we had 2 accessions in Zimbabwe and Seychelles. And just today, a few presidents spoke to me and have invited me to their capitals to discuss with them accession of their countries. Mm-hmm. So, but the important thing is that we don't just want you to say, all of us, we join and we're all members, but very few take this membership seriously. So we encourage countries that you join, but you must undertake the reviews. You must subject yourself to peer reviews, also to other work that the APRM does.
Did any of these 14 countries indicate why they don't want to be part of the peer review mechanism, at least for now? Also considering that at the time of its launch, some states saw it as a ratings agency.
No. Nobody has said we don't want to join the APRM, and up to so far, the countries that we have approached or have been to speak to them about joining, they always quite keen but we work at their pace. So a country will say, yes, we want to join. Then we have to send teams to the capital, discuss with them, undertake, do some training for authorities so that they understand what really it means to be a member of the APRM. So nobody says no, but countries are at different stages of state of readiness. But generally the countries are quite keen, and they want to see the mechanism been joined by all of them. But we, on the part of the APRM, we insist that countries join voluntarily, and as they join, they also subject themselves to the reviews, because the review, it's like we're going into your house, we're going into your bedroom, we're going into your privacy, we write reports about you, and we want you to be ready to subject yourself to that exercise.
Yeah, and one of the criticisms actually of the peer review mechanism is that some countries, although there are the recommendations that are set out, that they don't implement those recommendations. And this is something that even the president moots in his statement, that once the recommendations are set out, those recommendations must be implemented.
Yes, but that's the job of the Continental Secretariat. What is unique about the APRM is that you have us as a Continental Secretariat, but we also have country offices, fully fledged country offices with a political office, and also with a secretariat, and also with what we call the National General Council. So what we do then is that we work with those countries. Remember that we are a multilateral body. So once a country has undertaken a review, their recommendations, so we work with the authorities, we run workshops, we bring experts, we send them to other countries to go and see how other countries are dealing with similar challenges. We bring our neighbors also to work with them. So it is our effort. We are there to support and work with countries, but not really to be judging to say who's doing this, who's not doing that, but really to put ourselves, place ourselves at the disposal of countries. We encourage countries to put the actions that are coming out of the reviews in their national plan. So, and as far as I know, most of those who have done the reviews, if not all, they actually integrate the APRM recommendations in their national plans. They make sure that they are part of the National Development Plan in South Africa, but also they ensure that there are resources allocated for implementation of those recommendations.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. That is Professor Eddy Maloka, who is the CEO of the African Peer Review Mechanism, joining us there from Addis Ababa.